So on number 3, what operation should we be doing to find out how much the coupon saves Sarah's mom? Juanita? We should be subtracting. So we should be taking that 379, making sure we keep the decimal in the correct place, lining up our decimal with the 294, and we should be subtracting that. All right, make sure you set up your subtraction problem correctly. When we do 9 minus 4, we get our number. Make sure you borrow correctly from the 3 to change that 7 to 17. All right, once you get your answer, you're going to need to write a sentence. A good way to word that sentence.
Students, for a few afternoon announcements. If you're trying out for workshop.
So over here, make sure you subtract correctly. All right, so the question, going back to my question so I know how to word my sentence. It says, how much did the coupon save Sarah's mom? So I'm just going to restate this question in my sentence. Instead of saying, how much did the coupon save Sarah's mom? I'm going to say, the coupon saved Sarah's mom. And then you can write your answer. Now, guys, when I read the problem, how did they write their money? In terms of dollars. So when I write my answer, even if for my answer it's not a whole dollar, it's a cent amount, I'm still going to use the dollar symbol. And I'm going to put my decimal, and then you should be filling in your answer there. All right? Could I put a 0 in front of that decimal? Absolutely. Do you have to? No. If you want to put a 0 here, you can, but then make sure you fill in your answer there to finish that sentence out. Are there any questions on number 3? Make sure you subtracted correctly. Make sure you fill in your sentence. Okay? All right, for number 4, name the figure. What is that figure called? What is that figure called, Juanita?
Pentagon.
A pentagon, because it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. So since it has 5 sides, it's a pentagon. All right? How many sides would a quadrilateral have? How many sides would that be, Mason? 4. How many sides would an octagon have? Adrian? 8. And how many sides would a hexagon have? Brianna? 6. All right, do we agree with this? Okay, good. All right, let's look at number 5. It says, what is the perimeter of the polygon? How do I find perimeter? Juanita? Yeah, we're going to add the centimeters from all of the sides. So my first side, I'm going to start with that 11.8. Now when I write out my addition, I'm going to make sure to line up those decimals again. So then 9 goes under the 11, 6 goes under the 8, 12 goes underneath the 9, 1 goes under the 6, 15 under the 12, 4 underneath the 1. So now we can add all of those up. Once you add all of them up, what should I write next to my answer when I find the perimeter? What should I write next to that? Brianna? Centimeters. So please add that up carefully. Make sure, remember, you keep your decimal in that line. All right, put our answer and make sure you have centimeters next to it. If you've already worked it out, perfect. That's awesome. What we should have done, make sure you fill in centimeters next to your answer, okay? Gage, you still got yours out. Make sure you're checking it with me, okay? All right, number 5. Says find the area of the rectangle, and it tells me this, A equals LW. Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Does anyone know what that means, A equals LW? What does that mean, Juanita?
Area equals length times width.
Area equals length times width. All right, so this is a formula some of you already knew. Some of you just knew A is asking me for area, so A must be area. L and W, if I'm talking about a rectangle, it makes sense that L and W is length and width, hopefully. All right. How do we know that it's multiplication, though? Mason? Adrian? Because they're right beside each other. That's all I was looking for. So L and W are right beside each other. The only operation I can write without a symbol is multiplication. You can write the numbers right beside each other. And I know right now we're used to using the X for multiplication or the little dot for multiplication. Guys, our goal by the end of the year, we will not be using an X or a dot. We'll just be putting everything right next to each other. Okay? So this does mean multiplication because it's next to each other. So on this problem, I know I'm doing length times width. Which one of these numbers would be my length? Which one of them is the length? Jackson?
11.
Okay, so 11 is my length. And my width would be 4. Could I have said 4 is the length and 11 is the width? Yes, absolutely. On rectangles, it doesn't matter. When we get to triangles, it'll matter. When we get to trapezoids, it'll matter. But for rectangles, they can go either way. All right? So again, we had area equals length times width. So we know we're doing our length is 11 times our width, which is 4. And then you'll get your answer. What am I going to write next to my answer on area? Any idea? What am I going to write by my answer? Brianna? We're going to put feet. And we're actually going to put a little something extra with those feet. Jake? Not a C. Squared. We're going to put a little 2 for squared. Okay? So you're going to find your answer, write your number, and then you'll have feet squared. Please make sure you multiply those, write the number, and put feet squared next to it. All right, the reasoning behind that, when I do perimeter, it's just this line going straight around it. Do y'all agree? My perimeter is one line. I can follow that one line with one finger, yes? All right, that means it is one-dimensional. It's just a line, like with a ruler or a tape measure or a yardstick, all right? One dimension. Here, when we're talking about area, can I follow that with one finger now? No, now this is flat. It's that entire inside. All right, it's like your TV screen at home, unless you're super fancy. Your TV screen at home is flat, and it's two-dimensional. When you watch TV, does it look like you can stick your hand into that TV screen? No, it's flat. All right, so that's my flat two-dimensional. All right. Raise your hand if you've ever been to the movies, worn those funky glasses where it looks like stuff's coming out at you. What do they call those movies? 3D movies, because they are three-dimensional. So eventually we can tell this is a flat shape, so it's two-dimensional, it gets a 2. This is just a line, it's one-dimensional, it doesn't get anything. Eventually we will start doing shapes that look like this. All right, where that's like a cube, where you could put something inside of it. All right. This would be, when we do this, we'll talk about volume. And volume would be like feet to the third. All right. Another way to think about that, guys, if I multiply 2 times 2. Well, let's do a different number. If I say 5 times 5, what's another way to write 5 times 5? Micah? Juanita?
5 squared.
5 squared. 5 to the second power. 8 times 8, 8 to the second power. 7 times 7, 7 to the second power. So here y'all agree I did 11 times 4 and I got my number. But remember, 4 has feet and 11 has feet. So just like 5 times 5 is 5 to the second, feet times feet is feet to the second. Now I'm not doing the same number, so my number is just a number. But if I look at the feet, it's going to get a 2. Or you can just remember it's flat, so it's two-dimensional. All right? We're going to talk about this more when we get to the geometry section. This is just like seeing it a little bit ahead of time. So when we learn it, you're like, oh, I've done it before. It's super easy now. Okay. If you will, please make sure your math workshop is put up. Tomorrow we'll finish that, and I will take that up tomorrow. All right, so make sure your math workshop is put away.